Welcome back to the Carbon Speed Garage. Today we have another RS3 video. Today's probably the best one of them all, but it's going to take the most work. Today we are installing the 034 Motorsport mid pipes, high flow catted downpipe. We have the front subframe bushings, and we got some gaskets and hardware to get the job done.
Oh yeah. Like a whole parts store in there.
So we're going to be changing out the low pressure injectors here. We got a series of two T30s right here holding the rail, a couple hose clamps, and then a couple clips, and then everything will just pop out. Pretty straightforward install. There's that. We'll get this out of the way. You do have to be careful with this. There it is. There they are. Nice and dirty.
As Randall takes out the injectors, kind of everything you need to know about why there's low pressure, why there's high pressure. The high pressure are actually like in the head of the engine, and those are being utilized when you're flooring it, when you're on the gas pretty hard. It just switches to direct injection, which are the injectors that are just straight to the cylinder. Much better setup when you're making a lot of horsepower with boost. These low pressure injectors up top here that we're changing out, idle, low speeds, not much going on. Now, when you add a bunch of boost, a bunch of timing, the car needs as much fuel as possible, it'll utilize the 5 injectors that are in the cylinders and then the 5 low pressure injectors at the same time. So when you're on E85, you're using a ton of fuel, like a ton. So upgrading the low pressure actually does make a big difference under those situations where you're really driving the car hard. It makes it possible for it to get all the fuel it needs, and the stock injectors can handle it, but you're kind of hitting that threshold of where if it's got 100% that the injector can give, you're running it in the 90 percentile with the stock injector. So with these genuine Bosch low pressure injectors, these bigger ones right here, you're not going to be running them to the limits. You're going to stay on the lower end of it. So you always want to have room to play with injectors. You don't want to run them, you know, till their limit. You want to have them at, hey, 50, 60, 70% max. Cool, there's a safety line. You don't want to get anywhere near running lean when you're pushing a car hard. That's definitely the worst thing that can happen. So this is just helping us avoid that and safely run 85 when we go stage 2 with the downpipe and start pushing some real power through this thing.
So there's a little clip, see, that's securing the injector to the fuel rail. Just take some pliers, pull that off, and just wiggle these things out. So you want to make sure you get all the O-rings out. Sometimes they can stay in here. We got them all out. After looking at them, we have a couple that are a little dirty. Most of them are pretty clean. I think these two right here are the worst ones. And they're not necessarily bad, but they're significantly different than the other ones.
New on the right, old on the left.
Do a little flow comparison. Not a bad idea.
All right, we got a new toy over here. This is good for this video. Randall, what's happening? What are we gonna do?
So we're gonna do a little comparison here. The difference between the old injector and the new injector as far as the flow that they put out. With the same amount of pressure. What that pressure is yet, I'm not sure.
We bought this Amazon injector cleaner, and it's not just an injector cleaner anymore, it's an injector tester.
Did you hear that southern accent come out too?
I know, I was like, injector cleaner or injector tester?
So we're gonna do a little comparison here. You can lay out this cornfield. Sound like them corn-fed girls. Mineral spirits.
Does it tell us like a measurement, or are we just looking at it?
You'll look at the little beakers here, and then you'll see...
Beakers? Are we in chemistry?
We are. We're back in chemistry.
Parker hasn't even taken chemistry yet.
Ooh, yeesh.
Rest in peace, brother.
Wait, where is that liquid going right now?
There's a little tank in here.
Oh.
Which then leaks all over this microfiber towel.
Good Amazon product.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Oh, we're
Dude,
a little too wild.
sheesh.
She ain't gonna work much longer. Like literally, if you do your homework and like actually do it, you're done. You know, go on the internet, you get all the answers for free. You need to teach like taxes, you know, like real life stuff.
Yeah, but
How to buy a car. Not the square root of 37 is 69. I'm gonna use an old O-ring on this new injector so we don't rip it. Accelerating test. That's simulating an acceleration. See the new one on the left.
you see how much more liquid there is. Oh, we're hitting
boost.
We're hitting boost right now. Oh shoot, we're sending our rods to heaven.
So there's a big difference there.
Jesus.
Wow.
A lot more flow.
What else can we do fun on this thing?
Like a leak test. So if your injectors are stuck open and spraying fill when they're not supposed to, we'll pressurize them. Right there is.
Oh! Did it hit your eye? No. That definitely loaded up the pressure on this thing.
That was 60.
Oh no. Yeah, let's just simulate when these things explode. We about blew out our beakers.
Literally.
Or even.
Oh, we're done.
Now that we're done with our test, Randall's gonna go ahead and throw in the new injectors. We've got our piggybacks that come from 034 Motorsport. Those will get hooked up so that it works with the computer.
We use a very, very, very light amount of oil. This oil in particular is for assembly lube, which is a little more sticky, but we don't want to use too much because you don't want this getting into your fuel system. So we need just enough to coat the O-rings.
What was wrong with the mineral oil?
It didn't give it as much resistance as I needed. The O-ring was kind of binding up inside of here. And you don't want that because the O-ring will tear and then Parker will get sprayed in results of a fuel leak. But instead of that fuel hitting a person, it'll be leaking on hot parts inside of your motor, leading to a nice little campfire on the side of the road. Gonna do the same thing for the bottom set.
Stuff's like spiderwebby almost.
Yeah, it's real sticky. Like I said, it's meant for engine assembly, for when you assemble a brand new motor. This stuff will stick to the part, allowing you to not have or keeping you from having a dry start. I'll go ahead and plug our adapters in, wiring harness adapters. If this was a 1999 Silverado, I wouldn't be replacing this. I would just leave it. She's already clapped out. Little satisfaction right there. Money.
Baby solid.
Now before I forget, because I already almost forgot, I gotta put these on. Final clip, just like that. Now this wheel rail is ready to go back in the car. Make sure everything's hooked up. Good to go. Make sure you don't have any O-rings left down in your ports here. We do not, so we're gonna go ahead and proceed with getting this puppy slapped in. Get it lined up, push them down into place. Now, trying to fight this fuel line, it's kind of a pain in the butt. You just gotta be patient with it, which I don't always have.
It's just a really tight spot. It's hard to get any tools in there. It's hard to see kind of a little bit, and there's always that one thing, a bolt, hose, clamp, something in every install. This is that one. It would be easy if there was a lot of hose to pull up, but when you go to do this yourself, if you do, we'll see how Randall gets it done and we'll let you know. Randall switched it from the standard hose clamp, the OEM one, to one of these right here. This is much easier to get in there and tighten, so if that gives you any ideas when you do this.
Still challenging, but it made it a lot easier.
Whoa, we gotta do signature move when the install's done?
Signature move.
Give her some knuckles?
Little knuckles.
Little dap.
Alright.
I'm not gonna say that that's original or anything, but...
Injectors are in. We have the first step. The second step, I'm gonna go ahead and flash the ECU to be running the stage 2, and then we can start it, move it out of here. We're gonna take it on the lift and we'll put the downpipe on. before you install the downpipe, I have to tell you something that just costed us over $2,000, and I do not want you to make the same mistake. Bear with me, let me tell you about it. This is the drive shaft to get the power from the front differential to the rear. It attaches back here. It's the same orientation like this in the car. You hear that play? So what can happen, which we hit on it from the wrong side, but I talked to Sean over at 034. We had pole jacks to hold it so it didn't drop to the ground or anything, but either it lowered too much, just enough because it's very sensitive, or we hit it the wrong way. We're not exactly sure. But all this play in here, something broke and we hear something rattling around in here. We don't want to take it apart because I don't want to break it more. But what you can do to avoid this happening is just making sure you keep this drive shaft. Respect it first, but second, keep it as straight as possible. Use your pole jacks. If you're on the ground, just use whatever you have. Keep it straight. Tap it out from the front with your drive shaft tool that you'll see, and then leave your drive shaft tool in the same spot, and then tap it back in and try and keep it straight. Don't let this thing get pulled apart or really jam together too much. Just try and be super sensitive with it, and that's all I can tell you, and good luck with it. And don't let it separate or else it'll break. And there's not a single one in the US right now. There's a place I got to call in a little bit in Las Vegas that might be able to fix it. I don't know, it kind of just wastes a lot of time, costs over $2,000, so it was a huge mistake that me and Randall like we'll live and learn. Whatever happens, we'll figure it out, but I just don't want you to make the same mistake. Let's get in the video and have some fun with this downpipe. But if it does happen to you, you can drive the car without a drive shaft. Totally fine. It'll just be front wheel drive. It's not the end of the world. You can rip on it, launch it. 034 has done it all, tested it, and they said, hey, just drive it. It's a bummer, but you'll get it in there soon, and it's totally safe to drive. So it's not the end of the world. We'll still drive the car, but it's something you definitely want to avoid if you knew about it. Let's get back to what we're doing. First step in this long process is removing mid pipes and the rest of the exhaust. Randall's going ahead and hitting some of it with PB Blaster, penetrating lubricant to break off any debris, rust. That would make this job a little bit more difficult. This car does have Miltech mid pipes, so they're gonna be the same volume, but we did buy this car with the mid pipes and AWE switch path exhaust, and just to make everything match, because this car is gonna be for sale on modsandmiles.com here very, very soon. I'll have a link in the description to the website. You can go check it out. They're launching on June 1st. This car is going to be up for sale, up for auction, but I want everything to be 034 Motorsport, super clean, and have this car done right and have the full 034 treatment. So adding those mid pipes and swapping them out for these Miltech ones is a necessary evil. All you gotta know is you remove the exhaust so that you have access to the drive shaft in the center. We definitely have to remove that, and we have a special tool from 034 Motorsport.
So we have this heat shield that covers the drive shaft. We gotta pull this off. We got these stupid little clips right here. You just kind of have to bend.
Randall, would you agree that it's, I feel like this is the first time for us. It feels kind of weird. Seti's not here.
I know, right?
A little off today.
A little off.
We miss you, Seti. Uh-oh, we got the needle nose out. You know what that means.
You just pull them off.
At all costs. Next up is disconnecting the drive shaft from the rear differential. Randall's got a 12-point socket, which is a special one. What size is that thing?
10mm.
To get the drive shaft out, we got to move the engine forward. Randall's removing the dog bone mount, and that will allow the engine to shift forward a little bit to slide the drive shaft out. Pull jack on the engine. Next up is the support.
Have to hold. I don't know. I don't want to break this shaft.
Yeah, I'll hold it. You can go.
There we go.
034 Motorsport drive shaft removal tool. So we've got the tool mounted up where you saw, and now we just hit it with a hammer. Heavy hammer, earplugs. There it is. It's a long one. That was honestly not as bad as I thought it was gonna be. That was really simple. What size is that?
18 millimeter, yeah, 18.
Randall just removed these two bolts right here. Game plan, we're gonna loosen these, both sides. Then he just took out these also. And then up through the lower control arm, the bolts are right there that hold the subframe. Loosen them halfway. Let's see how much that moves now. That's what you want.
Maybe that's what adjusts the caster, moving the wheels closer to the front.
Intake is removed. Now we have access to our oxygen sensors. We got some plugs to undo. Alright, you're getting that first O2 sensor out. I want to show the rig that you had in case someone's never removed one of these before, since you got a wire on it.
Some O2 sensors, a car that's really old, this one not being too old, it's a little easier to remove, but these go through a lot of heat cycles, and depending on where you live, can be super corroded in by rust. However, they make O2 sensor sockets that are designed to go around the wire like that. You want to unplug this because once you start to spin it, the wire, you'll start twisting the wire and then you'll damage the O2 sensor.
If you want to grab these sockets, we have the Amazon link below always. Big list of tools we're always adding to. Then we got one more down there. Quick little informative bit. Heat shield removed. We have the replacement one from 034 Motorsport. 4 rivets. Then there's bolts under here. They're 5mm Allen heads. Those suck, but take some time and patience. V-band we took off right there. We got it loose with a pry bar, and now the downpipe is loose. Everything's out of the way. We can toss the car up in the air and see if we can get the downpipe out of here. And there you have it, folks. Identical looking setup, just a little nicer, and a completely different kitty in there.
Seal all the way around down here.
On top too. So we got Randall down there on the creeper. I got a cinder block, hopped up here. And then that allowed Randall to slide the downpipe up to the turbo. I wrapped the V-band around and then we positioned it so there's a hole right through the bottom. Randall got an extension like this, through straight up, hit it with the gun, and then tightened it by hand with the ratchet. Now we are ready to rock.
Feels really good on the back.
When it's not even halfway up and it pulls you all the way up, right? Why are we installing these?
So what these bushings allow is, if you see these holes right here and you see these bolts, you have a lot of play. These little bushings right here eliminates that play to nothing. So when these are in here, so now that play is essentially completely eliminated. And we do not want play, especially when you start adding power to these. These subframes can start to flex. That's what this eliminates.
Stand by, the instructional part is not over. We want to show sliding the bottom one up in there.
I shouldn't say flex, I should say shifting.
Just has no more, it has no more play, nowhere to go. So you can see how tight that bolt is around that collar. And when you reinstall the bolts for your subframe, you don't have to worry about them being in the same place. You don't got to worry about it. Boom. Subframe inserts, locking collar. We're referencing the awesome PDF from 034 Randall's. Writing some notes so we don't mess them up and put them in the wrong locations. We got FU and RU. Those each have numbers on them or no? Or is it on the bag?
Yeah, they're right here. Laser engraved, super small.
That is rad.
FU in this instance stands for front upper.
Here's the front. So we're gonna do the front upper, slider in. Now we're ready for the FL. On the passenger side, Randall's getting that one threaded in, and then we'll move on to these, which these are easier to see. That's it now. Then you want to leave it loose so we can get, you might even have to loosen that more, Randall. I don't know if you can get this one in. Probably do both uppers at the same time if you do this at home.
She ain't going nowhere.
Drive shaft time?
Yep.
Next day, a little work to do from the top. I got the bottom laced up. Now we just got to put the O2 sensors in, top and bottom, plug everything in, get the intake on, make sure everything's good to go on the bottom, and we'll be ready to drive it. Engine mounts in, steering rack mounted, dog bone in. We've got our subframe uppers and lowers in. There's support brackets. Got our exhaust set up back in. And like I said at the beginning of the video, we don't have the drive shaft in because of that mistake we made. So we're gonna run it, see what we can get a resolution for with the drive shaft, and I'll keep you posted in the next episode. But let's hear this thing for the fun parts. The cold starts are weak, so I don't expect anything crazy. Alright, she's warmed up a little. We'll get the inside view first. Super poppy. The top end sounds so much nicer. This sounds nice. Let me get the outside view. Sounds even more R8-ish. Immediately, it doesn't sound anything crazy aggressive. Oh yeah, mid-range. This thing drives a little weird in front-wheel drive. Makes me appreciate the all-wheel drive. It starts going like this.
Oh yeah.
Windows up. There's a cop right there. Initial thoughts? It opened it up. The power band comes on a little quicker. Power band seems a little meatier, like it's just a little more dense for a little bit longer. The sound, like usually when you put a if you put a downpipe on like a GTI and then you throw an exhaust on it like this, it's like you got like some mid-range drone and some things you're like, I don't know about this. This doesn't really change it much at all. It's just kind of elevated what was already good about it. But the car is about fully warm, so we'll see what it sounds like up here. Good. It's not like anything crazy. It's just kind of like really fun daily vibes. Holy squirrely front-wheel drive. We just got the downpipe on. I want to see your reaction. See you at the house. Parker and I are enjoying the sim. If you guys want to check out a video of us installing a carbon fiber intake, check out this video right here. Make some cool noises. Thanks for stopping by, but let's continue and we'll see you on the intake video.